found this fabric back in October and I fell in love with it. It is a gorgeous flannel and it's got these cute little mushrooms on it, and I just think they are positively adorable. So my real big question was, what should I make out of it? Originally, I'd planned to make this wearing history blouse that you see right here. I've made it about 6 times now. I was going to do a long sleeve version of it, like this one, because it turned out really well. But again, I have made it 6 times now. And while I love every iteration of it that I've made, let's see if I can find some others. Yep, here are some other versions of it that I've made. I am ready to try a new pattern, I think. It's very easy for me to get, I don't want to say stuck in a rut, but make the same pattern over and over and over again. So I hopped onto my Trello board and came over to my section called Tops and started scrolling through, trying to find the right pattern. And I knew I wanted it to be long sleeves, and I knew I wanted it to be cozy. This was one because I've made this top before, but I decided I wanted to actually try something new. Same with this one, but I've made that one before. So I continued to scroll, looking for something that would fit with the 2 1/4 yards of fabric that I had. And I kind of stopped right here and just look at those sleeves. Those sleeves are amazing. Now, I was very much captivated by this blouse here, particularly since she has my hair. It feels very Snow White-like, but look at those sleeves. I just went, you know what? Let me see if I have enough fabric. I pulled the pattern out. It's one of the vintage ones that I received from that vintage stash, and the previous person very helpfully wrote when she made it. July 4th, 1970, and she either wore it with or made it with a long flared skirt. And I don't know if that is her name or who she made it for. She made this version here with this lovely polka dotted cotton. Well, I want to make this one, but with this lovely flannel-y mushroom. It'll be, I guess, a fun little winter New Year print. So first things I had to do was look on the back and see if I had enough fabric. So for view A, that's that one, 45 inches. It says that I will need 2 3/8, and I have 2 1/4. But this is where I think I can cheat a little bit. For starters, I don't need the blouse to be that long. And I also don't need that waist tie. If I'm going, or I could make the waist tie, but I also could easily make it in a contrasting color, like a green or a red. So if I don't have enough fabric to make the waist tie, not the end of the world. I also can make it shorter if I need to. The other question, though, is, of course, this is a size 12 with a 34-inch bust. I am typically a 14 based on the measurements here, but in the past with modern patterns there's too much ease, and this also looks like it's a very, very, very roomy pattern. So I think I'm going to be okay with the 12. Also, look at the price. I wish patterns were only 65 cents, and this is apparently when they switched over to new sizing. The other thing that I was concerned about were the instructions. I typically struggle with sewing patterns, vintage sewing patterns, because they typically leave a lot of instructions to be desired, because I just really need good thorough instructions, and if there's a tutorial that helps too. But thankfully this is a simple enough pattern, and after reading the instructions I think I'm going to be okay. And this is going to be fun to do. I cut out the pieces, and I guess we're just gonna hope it works out. Let's get sewing. And yes, my supervisors are here. Hi, Sam. Oh, okay. They both wanted to say hello. You'll always find them in front of a space heater. Cuties. Alright, with some clever laying out, that's where the second sleeve will be cut out. I think I've got it to where I can get the whole thing on here. And I did end up having to shorten it by 1 inch. But again, that is perfectly fine by me. I don't need it that long. Also, I don't think my hips can handle it being that long. In fact, oof, I just realized I am probably going to need to add a little bit on the hips. So that's going to adjust the layout some. The pieces are all cut out. I didn't know if I'd have enough, but it turns out I did. One of the changes I had to make was this was supposed to be cut on the fold. I'm just gonna have a stitch down the middle of it. And everything else was a little creative. I had to make some print decisions, such as the cuffs, the print was turned on its side, but I probably would have done that regardless. And same with the belt, turned on its side. But again, I like doing that with directional prints. So I'm excited. All I have next to do is need to cut out some interfacing and attach it, and then we can start sewing. All right, looks like blouse A is 7 steps. Sewing directions. So now this, they want us to do the interfacing sewed in, but I have iron-on interfacing, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and pre-apply the interfacing to the pieces. So I'm going to do that first. The other thing is, it looks like they have us putting a zipper in the back, but I feel like this hole is big enough for me to pop my head through. So I'm going to test that out. If I can't pop my head through it, then I'm just going to put like a 4-inch little slit back here and a button, because I don't want a giant zipper. I feel like that would be uncomfortable and completely unnecessary with how big a moose this blouse is. But I guess we'll find out. And then step 4, and it's funny that it says 7 steps, because I think that the sleeves are all going to be 1 step. Yeah, step 5 sleeves, and it's like 4 billion sub steps. Oh well, oh well. So first step is we need to go ahead and apply the interfacing to all the pieces that need interfacing. Everything is serged and interfaced, and now, and I also did the darts. So now I believe our next step is shoulder and side seams. Here we go. And the shirt is assembled. So we've got the side seams in. Got that in. I did try it on. I could get my neck through, but I worry it'll stretch out the neck. So I am going to open this up a little bit, and we'll finish it with a little stretchy elastic, that's the word, and a button. So that'll be the cute little finish on the back. Now it's time to go through my buttons and find something for this, because not only do I need one for the neck, but these sleeves also have, I need to count if it's 3 or it's 4 buttons a piece. So I need to find a total of 7 or 9 buttons. Or actually a total of 8 or 10 buttons, because I would like to have an extra one. And I'm thinking red, I'm leaning toward red, but I have to see what I have available here. Given how many buttons were needed, and I didn't want to go to the store and wanted to use my stash, I opted to go with these. I think it's a lovely little match. We've got the bodice constructed now, so the facing is in and understitched. Back here, we've got this attached, and it actually fits over, well, the dress form's hips, which are to my measurements, and the bust is no problem. It's very baggy. So once we put the tie on, or once I tuck it in, whichever way I want to go. Now that we finished steps 1 through 4, we are on step 5, sleeves, which I think on their own, this solitary step 5, just 7 steps, step 5 is more complicated than the entire dress construction has been so far. These instructions are ridiculous. They're saying for sleeve opening / on solid line. Got it. And then stitch one edge of continuous lap to edges of, like, what are they even talking about here? I finally had to look over here and look at all these diagram pictures to figure out what the heck they're even talking about. These instructions, this is why I struggle with vintage patterns. They expect people to just make these leaps of logic, which most sewists can do. I am not one of those sewists typically. I need some pretty thorough instructions. Alright, the thing it wants me to do is bonkers, and I probably could do it, but given that this is flannel, it's also going to be really bulky, and it wants me to sew that on and then do ironing. And then, you know what? I have this red bias tape left over from a previous project. I'm just going to use this. The contrast will be lovely. I really like the pop of red. It's a fun color. I also thought, since we're doing a vintage pattern, previous owner's vintage pattern, that it would be fun to do some of the tons. This is all the hem tape that came with it, and that's like 2 layers, y'all. So it'd be fun to do some of that because I've never really used it. All right, we've done that part. Done for the night. The sleeves are not attached. Everything is just pinned. And those are the cuffs hanging on down there. And that's going to be the sash. There's the buttons. But on the whole, I think it's going to be lovely. I cannot wait for those ginormous sleeves. I'm so excited about those. Did you have something to say, Rosie? Were you saying something to me? Oh, okay. Hi. What's up? You were saying something earlier. You're done? What about you, Sam? Yeah, Sam's like, leave me alone. You want to sit on my lap while I sew, don't you? Yes, you do. All right. It's day 2. Time to work on step 5. So we did this portion. And now I've got to sew this together and then do some gathering. And we're going to make the cuffs. Okay. Okay. So I've got this. I'm gathering it. And I've got this attached together. And then I've got this pinned together. I think I'm doing it the right way. I guess time will tell. Alright, I'm done for the night. I got the cuffs done with the buttonholes and the buttons attached. And tomorrow I will need to attach the sleeves. And then I still have to make the tie. And I still have to hem the shirt. So we still have to accomplish step 5 point whatever this is. Got the tie done. Getting supervised by the puppers. And let's see if I can do this. Hang on. Here we go. Watching Samantha Loves to Sew while I sew. I love her channel. She's a lot of fun.
And I'm going to make it on my hand crank, that 6 machine, and I thought I'd show you too a little bit more about how it works.
Blouse is done. I just tried it on. It actually fits. It's a little tight in the armholes on me, but you know, not unbearable. Everything has turned out quite lovely, and I do like how the red lace pops there. As for what I'm going to do next, I have this pile of scraps left over, and I thought it could be nice to try making the Charlotte beret by the Charm Artist Collective. So we've completed this, and we're gonna try to piece these scraps together for a cute little beret to perch on top of that. I think it'll look darling. Check in from the supervisors. How you guys doing? Oh, hi. What luck. There's actually one piece. This is the largest leftover piece I had of fabric, and it fits the entire crown of the beret. I am definitely going to have to piece all these bits together to make the brim, but I'm really excited about that. I actually had some pieces large enough that I only had to piece the brim together in one place. So everything's cut and interfaced. Now I just need to assemble. I've got the dart sewn into the top and the band sewn together. So now I just need to sew them to each other. The brim is attached to the crown, and it is actually starting to look like a jaunty little beret. So I have got to go. I'm heading to the Festival of Lights at the Washington, D.C. Temple. But this will be waiting for me to finish up when I get back. And I do think that it's going to look rather lovely and jaunty together with this blouse. Time for the next step, which is stay stitching the inner brim. So I've got to stay stitch that, and then we've got to sew on some ribbon, and I've got some of this hem tape, which is the nice lovely contrast red. So that's what I'm going to use. Time to stay stitch. All right, it's assembled and super cute. Now I'm going to make some crafts for this shirt and for this beret. If you watched my magazine, my Threads magazine page through video, you will have seen these. And I got them because I just thought, you know, they were the perfect little accessory. So I'll make a little Christmas corsage for one, and then I plan to make one to go on the beret. Samwise, you are making this very difficult for me to do my hand stitching. Sam, dude. Okay. All right, the finishing touches are complete. I think that I will wear this tomorrow for the Christmas Eve brunch I'm attending. And these are the trousers I plan to wear it with. I made them last May as part of my 1920s version Bespin Leia. So perhaps I will do a making of video of that at one point. I ended up wearing it for Christmas brunch, and it was absolutely comfortable and perfect, and I felt cute, and I just had a blast. I really enjoyed this pattern and this print.